Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff I'll Never Told You, a production of iHeartRadio.
And because I am me, I decided I was going to do a part 2 about the games that I've been playing, because I didn't mention one that I felt like needed to be mentioned, even though, yes, Snufkin, Moomin Troll Stories, Moomin Valley is still one of my favorites. Christina, our wonderful producer, super producer, suggested Untitled Goose Game, which people have suggested, and the description alone does make me think this is my game, because all you're really doing is going after humans to harass them.
Yeah,
have you seen this?
No, I haven't seen it.
I think your co-host from Savor, Lauren, friend of the show, I want to say she was into this game for a minute.
I could see that.
I feel like her and my partner had a whole conversation about it. And then we watched videos, and I was like, what is this? And you saw this goose with a knife running around in like a block kind of like scenario, just chasing people, honking at them. I could be wrong. This could be in like a dream I had. Who knows? Who knows? I was dreaming about a game I didn't really know much about. But anyway, so I feel like I do need to try that out. It's apparently on sale right now, so I need to go look at it on the things. Thank you, Christina. I will. It's quite funny, the description, and apparently it was like kind of like a inside joke at a company that made it into an actual game from an indie game. So that is something I do want to look into. So if y'all had more suggestions like that, at me. But the game that I'm talking about is kind of similar in that it harasses humans or just people in general, and it's called Donut County, and it's an independent game as well. The creator is like right there, named Ben Esposito, and he did the entire thing, and it's also a very short game. It's classified according to their site as a story-filled physics puzzle game where you play as a hole in the ground. And yes, you do have to do like some trickery in between this. Like you have to, like if you swallow up, because you're trying to swallow up everything, and like you might swallow up something that has fire, so you can't swallow everything up. So you have to figure out, okay, how do I get rid of this fire? Or you have to use that fire to get to something else. So it's a whole thing. But it is quite satisfying because all you're doing, it feels like all you're doing until you get into the puzzle bits and you're like, oh, I have to actually figure this out. So the creator, Ben Esposito, created a unique world that is somewhat controlled by raccoons. And by the way, as I'm writing all this stuff up, my outline is telling me, because I did some copy paste, coming from an article. I'm assuming it's like they're English. I don't know, because they only use one C for raccoons, and my Google is like, no, that's a different version. You don't want to spell it that way. Super odd. But I didn't realize there was 2 different ways to spell raccoons. Did you? I did not realize this.
Yes, I got in. I actually hilariously
side note,
have audio podcast evidence that I didn't know this, because I was on Movie Crush with Chuck from Stuff You Should Know, and I was on there for What We Do in the Shadows, and there is a visual gag at one point where they're spinning like a chore wheel, and the word vacuum is misspelled. But I learned that not necessarily is it misspelled. And from there, I learned about this raccoon thing.
Well, I did not know this, y'all. And Google is yelling at me because it's like, you're in America. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Like, what's happening? So anyway, I've learned now that there's 2 different ways to spell raccoons. Again, and so I haven't made it to the end of this game, y'all, because I got this at the same time as Snufkin, so was really sidetracked with that. And this again is apparently a short form game as well. So here's something again from I guess she's English, the different spelled raccoons person. omggirlsgame.wordpress, and she writes, funnily enough, there is a story in this short game, and it's about as nonsensical as the title of the game might imply. The story focuses around Donut County, but specifically around the 2 driving characters, which are the human girl, Mira, because there's definitely lots of different creatures in here, and her raccoon friend, BK. But it turns out BK and Mira work at a donut shop where BK uses an app to deliver donuts, and we're putting that in quotes, which are not really donuts at all. Anytime someone orders a donut, BK uses his special tablet and app to deliver a hole, which shows up and swallows up everything. Mira is aware of these holes, but only seems to care after BK destroys almost all of Donut County and swallows her other friend, Coco. Why are holes being deployed? Well, it has something to do with the raccoon takeover and the obsession with trash. The truth is that we are never given a reason that is 100% true, but the raccoon takeover bit is actually a fact. Raccoons bought out the donut shop in Donut County, and now raccoons run most high-end government functions like police, as well as having a massive lab located in a giant building that looks like a trash can. And that's just the basic stuff. While we may not learn too much about the raccoon conspiracy, Donut County does host a myriad of colorful characters that end up learning a little as we play through the game. So, of course, they do have a whole Wikipedia page in which they talk about the entirety of the story. There's a trash king involved, apparently, as well as like BK being like, I want a droid to fly over everything and get these things, and then they all get swept up. Everybody gets swept up, and they go like below the earth where there's nothing there, and they're all around a campfire sharing their stories about how they disappeared. And so it's like you have a scenario and you play that game, and it goes into the audio storytelling part where they're sitting around and they're trying to get BK to take responsibility about what's happening, and it goes back up, and they have like this different scenarios of different people, what happened, why they ordered the donut, where they are, all these things. And all you're doing is just sucking it up into the earth. I haven't made it to the end because apparently there's a boss fight with the Trash King, and BK has to make some tough decisions about whether he's loyal to his friend or his raccoon species and their whole, ploy to take all the trash. I don't know. It seems like both a good and bad thing.
Right. Yeah.
But it's not just taking trash, it's taking everything. But yeah, that's the entirety of the game. And apparently it was a mobile game first, and they were nominated for a lot of awards, and I think they did win Mobile Game of the Year for the South by Southwest Gaming Awards. But they had a pretty big following. I'm not really sure if they have expanded on it. Obviously, Ben Esposito is a fairly known name that I don't know. I'm sorry. Don't get mad at me. And their company has done a lot for this. But this essentially was just like a side project he was doing for fun. And it got pretty big acclaims. But it's kind of like, if you have that like itch of just like, yes, I gotta get everything, this fills it. Mm-hmm. And it's also a sassy, literal back and forth conversation with them all. With all the trash animals. So there you go. You should try it. Not like I loved it, but not as much as I loved Snufkin. Obviously. But it's super neat.
Interesting. Well, this was comical because every time we do these gaming episodes, it's hilarious to me how you're like, oh, I found this like really beautiful, peaceful, relaxing game. And I'm like, well, let me tell you the complete opposite. I haven't had as much time as I would like to play games lately. I've really been enjoying. I have some friends who are playing some favorites of mine. I've got a friend playing Resident Evil 4. I got a friend playing Jedi Survivor. The Last of Us 2 is always on the table for me.
Yep.
Yeah. I did, and I'm almost embarrassed to admit it, but not really. There's a DLC for Animal Crossing. So I did get that. Where you can basically design people's homes. And I got it.
Yeah, I got that. I'm not good at it.
Because I was mad where one of my villagers has like one of the coolest homes. But it was because it was one of the first ones. It was bland and boring. So I got it. I'm one painting away from completing the museum.
I quit. I need to go back to it. My island looks a mess. Guarantee. No
reason to. There's tons of games out there. I have so many games to play, and that's the frustrating thing. And so many of them are like really cool concepts, but The one I played recently is called Rental. And it is described as Animal Crossing meets Silent Hill.
Oh my God, what?
Yes. So if you don't know what Silent Hill is, I did an episode, Fictional Women Around the World on Heather. I talked about it in survival horror. Silent Hill is like a really messed up horror game. It's like one of my favorite. Silent Hill 2 is one of the scariest games ever made, in my opinion. It's like eerie and unsettling and has a lot of symbolism, and a lot of it's uncomfortable. So I was like, wait, what? Animal Crossing meets Silent Hill? So I, of course, went and played it. It's a good 20-minute easy play. Well, it was easy for me. I thought it was pretty. It's easy in terms of the controls. Like, it's just like a up, side, you're controlling your character. So the plot is you, who's like a cute bunny rabbit from Animal Crossing, are going to this like Airbnb rental for a vacation. And when you get there, the guy who owns it is like, something's amiss. And you go in, and then of course the door slams and locks, and you're in there without your family. And so you've got to you walk through, it's like a straight hallway, you know, but it's got all these branching rooms, and pretty much in every room you go in, there's some kind of like horrific flash of something. It's got a lot of like I would call them jump scares, but I guess they are kind of jump scares. And you find a list, and it tells you like these items, and you've got to find items like 2 candles and I don't know, haunted picture, like all this stuff. So you have to search through the rooms and find these things. And all the time you're seeing this like figure with red eyes. Those just pop out and like, and you're like,
I think I know about this game. I think I saw like a TikTok video about this.
I mean, it must have, because I think it was free for a while, and there was a lot of press around it. So I was like, free horror game, Silent Hill.
Yeah. Let's go. Cats.
So you go and you're finding all these things. You're kind of learning about the house and what happened in there. And then once you get all the items, one of the doors opens up that you couldn't get into before, and it's just a hall. It's a whole warehouse of mirrors. It's horrible. It's so hard to keep track of where you are and what you're doing, and you have to find all these certain things. And I can see you can get stuck in there for a hot second. And it's really unsettling because like the music is going, there's like mist, there's this creature there, and you might be lost. You have to find all these things, and you can't get out until you find all of the things. Then you find them, and you do like a little ritual. And I won't say what happens after that, but that's how you win.
Okay. Yeah. That's interesting, except for I might get frustrated.
This is so funny to me though, because you're like, this game so nice. I'm like, I found like Animal Crossing, but if it was a horror.
Yes. I mean, I've seen more and more like they will talk about like horror level of games, but still call it cozy games. Yeah. Because it's like that. And I'm like, is it that? I mean, it's kind of like, it is like also people saying Zelda is a cozy game. It's like,
I don't
so
know
there's like a debate on that. I feel like because there's so many like battle levels of this, that it's not as like relaxing to me. And of course, I would say that about some of the other games. I'm like, this is just frustrating. I don't like it. I guess, which have been classified as cozy gaming because I am super bad at gaming. But like, yeah, again, like I would help like making pies and doing certain things like that. That's to me like is cute. Yes, I would rather not be this way, and then having a ghost telling me what to do, because I have that pie game that I love that has the ghosts helping me get it together in this pie place while they are also adopting cats. Which, by the way, I found another game called Fit My Cat, which is essentially a block game of cats. I don't know why, but I liked it. But like I find that interesting because I'm like, a cozy game, I guess it is like when we talked about the original intent and the name of it sounds very different than, horror games where you can get a jump scare. Or there's several that's like cult games, you know what I mean? That also has that. But it's not to say that it can't be cute and cozy.
Yeah, this is actually something I've been thinking about recently because when I played that game, it didn't really scare me. We've talked before about how some people like me use horror to relax.
Right.
And this is a whole separate thing, but it is related. I recently watched a film in a violent nature. I have been working up to watch it, but I'd heard all these stories about it's going to make you vomit and stuff like that. But people kept saying like it's really kind of comforting until it's not. So if you haven't seen it, it's just a horror. It's got a lot of problematic tropes. I did like it, but it's got a lot of problematic tropes. But it's like you're seeing it from the killer's point of view, and he's just walking through the woods. So a lot of scenes, there's no music. A lot of the scenes are just really pretty, and he's just walking through the woods. And I was kind of relaxing during it. I was like, And then he killed someone in the most violent way I've probably ever seen.
Okay.
Well, that's saying a lot. It was very violent. I see why people vomited.
Yeah. Oh, really?
But then he's back walking in the woods, and I'm like, oh, very pretty, pretty, pretty. So it's interesting because a lot of people called it like the cozy game version of like a
horror movie.
Of a horror movie.
We already kind of had a conversation about people don't take women seriously in gaming. Cozy gaming kind of opened the door where this specific genre, which is a very new genre, has allowed for more and more women to come in to be like, I know about gaming, let me talk to you about this, and found a way that they could also get paid and be paid attention to. But then that also was like, if you're cozy gaming, they want to specify that you're not gaming. Like that's that, and I'm not saying that's the case, I'm just saying that a lot of sexist people will use that rhetoric. That's not really gaming. But again, it's kind of that level of like a lot of the gamers, and I think this is where maybe some of the complication happens, is that a lot of the gamers, cozy gamers, have already most likely been gamers. And then they found this game, they love these games, and they talk about these games because it is also a niche and an interesting topic. And it's more accepted for women to be in that narrative. And so they may get boxed in. And they're using this boxed in to finally be in the industry. Like I don't think that's bad or good either way, because I hate that women who are gamers are already like classified as not being true gamers if you don't do these things, or if you just don't have a penis, which a lot of times is that conversation. And I think like that could be part of that mystery, because again, like I said, there's several gamers who will put Zelda Breath of the Wild and say this is their cozy game / but more difficult, because I could never, like I would throw the remote off
I got
somewhere.
Stuck. I love Zelda, and I've got stuck in it because I accidentally killed that old guy. And now I don't have the coat, and I keep dying. And everyone tells me it's not possible, but I'll give you my save file. That guy died, and it was not my fault.
So all that to say, I think this is an interesting narrative, because the conversation, again, like the horror cozy gaming or the dark cozy gaming, or like all of these things, and because they want so quickly to classify this so they can keep it sexist, like keep a sexist narrative in there, that could be a problem. For me, yes, a part of this is the fact that I'm not stressed out. So if I'm stressing about it, which is most games in general, I'm going to throw something, to me, that's not cozy.
Yeah.
And I think that's a whole different conversation, because also just like Overcooked, is that considered a cozy game?
I would never call that a cozy game.
But I have played it, and I do enjoy it to a certain extent, till I'm like, I'm annoyed.
Oh, that kind of goes back to because I have some friends who will watch a certain show. It's the bear. And they're relaxed. Yeah. And I'm like, this is the most stressful. I hate this. I like the show, but it's stressful. But to them, they find it relaxing for whatever reason. Usually it's their job. Usually it's what they work in. And
I think it's funny.
But that's the thing is like one person's like stress reliever is another person's stress causer.
Right. And also there's that question again in classification because the bear was classified as a comedy and everybody's like, why?
Well, I have a lot of theories about that.
Oh, so this conversation has gone awry. Yeah. But that is kind of what we were like in this conversation when it comes to gaming, because it is a like bigger depth of like, okay, these people consider this gaming, this people consider this gaming. And then there's a huge crossover. We've seen more and more crossover when it goes into like which system has it. Just saw one of my favorite games, Cozy Grove. I've talked about this game a lot and I still play it. I think it's really fun. I think the missions are just perfect. Apparently they have a phone version. I haven't seen good reviews about it. I think there's a lot of bugs. We'll see. And I think Netflix bought the actual game, which again, now we see other companies that were never a part of the gaming industry suddenly going, oh, moneymaker, let's go.
Every time I go on Netflix, I see Oxenfree, which is one of my favorite games. And it's like, oh, it's in beta. I'm like, what? I play Oxenfree on Netflix?
Right.
Yeah. And going back to several of our conversations, I do think when you can get outside of the big studios, like a cozy game is a great way to enter the industry without that. And they are still games people love and people will buy, and you can do all these creative things. Like so long a game has been defined by the way you win is some kind of violence. And I love how many women creators especially are like, what if we made a different game where the way you win isn't that, it's something else. I love that. So I'm all about this. I love the interesting takes on games, horror or not. I'm like, I like to see this creativity. I'm glad that it's happening, and that they're finding audiences for it. Well, as always, listeners, if you have any suggestions, we do take them into account. We love getting them. Please let us know. You can email us at stephaniamomstuff@iheartmedia.com. You can find us on Twitter at momstuffpodcast or on Instagram and TikTok at Stuff Never Told You. We're also on YouTube. We have a TeePublic store and we have a book where we talk a lot about video games. You can get wherever you get your books. Thanks as always to our super producer Christina, our executive producer Maya, and our contributor Joey.
Thank you.
And thanks to you for listening. Stuff I Never Told You is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts on iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your favorite shows.